awareness is not thought. The most scruple never question. They live inside thought. Then they assume thought is the center of self. Thought narrates. Thought comments. Thought predicts. Thought judges. Thought replays. Thought tries to manage reality by naming it. And because this is constant, people start treating thought as identity. But awareness is not thought. Thought appears inside awareness. It moves inside awareness. It rises and falls inside awareness. But awareness itself is prior. This matters because most suffering becomes more dense when a person is fully fused with mental movement. Every thought feels personal. Every fear feels final. Every narrative feels true because it is happening so close to the center. But when identity begins to shift, even slightly, a person starts noticing something else. They notice, thought is happening, but I am not identical to every thought. That is not dissociation. That is not detachment in the dead sense. That is a structural correction. Awareness can notice thought without being trapped inside it. And once that begins, a different kind of life becomes possible. Because then the question is no longer, what is my mind saying? The question becomes, what is here before the next thought forms? What is aware of the thought? What remains if the commentary slows down? This is where a lot of people get confused. They think the goal is to destroy thinking. It is not. Thought has function. Thought helps organize. Thought helps communicate. Thought helps build, remember, plan. The problem is not that thought exists. The problem is that thought has been given total authority. When thought becomes ruler instead of tool, structure tightens. The person loses spaciousness. Everything becomes interpretation. Everything becomes reaction. Everything becomes a story about me, my past, my future, my fear, my meaning. Awareness is different. Awareness can hold thought. Awareness can hold sensation. Awareness can hold emotion. Awareness can hold perception. Awareness does not have to collapse into every movement it contains. That is the beginning of freedom. Not because a person becomes empty in a dramatic way, not because they transcend life, but because they stop being fully owned by mental traffic. This is why even a brief glimpse matters. Even one real moment of noticing, I am aware of thinking, can start reorganizing the whole system. Because that moment reveals there is a field larger than the mind. And when that becomes more familiar, something softens without becoming weak. Urgency softens. Compulsion softens. Over-identification softens. The person still thinks, but now there is room. And room changes everything. It changes conflict. It changes decision-making. It changes how we relate to fear. It changes how fast we believe our own inner narration. Many people do not need more thought. They need more distance from automatic identification with thought. That distance is not coldness. It is not numbness. It is not withdrawal. It is clarity. If awareness is primary, then thought can be seen for what it is. Movement, not master. And that means a person can begin living from a different center of gravity. A center not built out of constant mental repetition. A center not built out of defensive interpretation. A center not built out of inner noise. This is part of why awareness-based traditions matter. They are not just trying to help people relax. They are pointing to an actual shift in identity. Not from personhood into nothing, but from total fusion into spacious knowing. So a practical question becomes, can I notice a thought without becoming it? Can I let a thought pass without constructing a whole identity around it? Can I remain as awareness, even for a moment, while thought continues? That moment matters, because the system learns through recognition. The system learns, I do not have to enter every thought. I do not have to fight every thought. I do not have to believe every thought. Awareness is already here. Thought comes later. And the more that becomes real instead of theoretical, the more structure changes. Less contraction, less panic around mental content, less need to manage every inner movement. More room, more steadiness, more direct contact with reality before interpretation captures it. So this is the core distinction. Thought is content. Awareness is the field. Thought changes. Awareness remains. Thought comments. Awareness knows. Thought is useful. Awareness is foundational. When that becomes lived and not just understood, freedom starts becoming practical. Not perfect, not constant at first, but real. And real is enough to begin.